A very interesting note as I'm sort of tracking game one. You're off in the distance of game one, looking to this Niner game, and it comes up on the schedule initially, and you go, oh, it's a top-heavy team that's a little bit older. Sure would like to catch that team at the end of the year. Twice at the end of the year would be best. When a couple of those top-end guys are beaten up and they don't have the depth to satiate the rest of the roster, and we can really take advantage. You get them week one, everybody's fully healthy. Kind of feel this a little bit about Pittsburgh too, to a degree. Not the best of times. But then you start putting together the way things are sort of running as far as, the Niners' fate through this offseason and into this early preseason period. And you have Brandon Ayuk already out the gate, a guy that's been a tough receiver for the Seahawks to deal with at times in his time here with the Niners, who's going to be out of that game. I think that's, to me, Niner fans are trying to kind of talk themselves into him being the surprise week one activation. Here's him cutting out on a football field. I'll let you guys be the judge about these cutting abilities and whether or not he looks like a guy that's still coming back off that knee injury or if he's just right on the edge of being ready to go active. To me, looks like a guy who's still kind of carrying that leg around a little bit, who's still kind of coming back, making progress, but it was a gigantic knee injury he had. It wasn't just some small little, tiny little MCL tear. He had multiple things go on there. So he's not going to be ready week one. And you start to think about that, and you're not looking for injury to your opponent. You're not looking not to face them at full strength. This is just the facts of life. It's the facts of life. And that's that you're going to be facing this at times as a team where you do get the benefits of teams not always at their strongest when you play them. So you have Ayuk already up on the shelf. Malik Mustafa, highly drafted safety by this team last year, who came out and he was a real, headhunter out there, a hitter for the safety position, gave him some dynamicism this past year in the safety where, they knew they were going to lose Hufanga. They lost him in free agency. That's one of your guys you're hoping to be in the replacement in there. Jair Brown hasn't really come forward for them as a prospect either at that safety position. But now Mustafa had the major knee injury at the end of the year. He's out. So boom. Okay, you're down two. Dominic Pooney, maybe the best rookie offensive lineman in the league last year, or one of them. I mean, not the best, but one of them. In that solid right from day one with them as a right guarder, helped to steady the ship on that offensive line because it was really Trent Williams and a bunch of kind of sometimes nobodies out there. He's injured. He looks like he's going to probably miss the game, or at the very least not be anywhere near 100% health. Then we get to the 49ers wide receiver room. We got Jacob Cowing, re-injures his hamstring August 20th. Probably going to be hard for him to get back to the Seattle game. It tends to be a 3 to 4 weeker. Is he at 100%? With hamstrings, you just have to have those guys sit and wait and rest. There's no way to really have him do much active rehabilitation. So he's probably missing from this. The Niners also had Demarcus Robinson, the guy that they took this offseason partly with the intention of knowing that you were going to have Brandon Ayuk probably sit through the first 6 weeks of the year. And if that was going to be the case, you were going to hope this guy you could lean on him for the production at that point that you were going to be missing from Brandon, at least a little bit. He wasn't going to, of course, completely supplement it, but he was going to be able to at least kind of tick away at it, take a chunk out of it, if you were. He's going to be missing the first 3 games of the season. And then we get to another one today. It's one a day for the Niners when it comes to their wide receiver room. And frankly, a positional group at this point, we've got to start to wonder about the curse factor entering into play. We got to really start to give it some strong potentiality of being what's going on here at play. I don't know what Seahawks fan did it. I don't know which of you out there is doing some Santeria stuff, but goodness, somebody is. So Russell Gage, another one of those solid, steady, veteran type guys you can kind of just rely on. Maybe not going to give you upper level play, but functional guy for the position if you're caught in a bind and you're needing to kind of fill out the ranks a little bit. Boom, he goes down. Niners, don't. There's other injuries on top of this. Garendo might miss the game with the Seattle Seahawks. They're back up to Christian McCaffrey. A lot of that running back room is beaten up too. I think even maybe Jordan James, the kid they took, if I'm not mistaken, but that one I'm more guessing on. It's a lot of that to one side of the ball you're looking at, and it's heavily so here. They had made a trade of Sky Moore, former second-round pick who just never developed, and boy, his hands went into the toilet for the Chiefs, where just at the end of that time there didn't seem to be able to catch a cold, but he had a punt return against your Seahawks for a touchdown last week, and that was good enough for the 49ers to be like, he'll save us. He'll get this. He'll make this happen. But the bottom line is the Niners are going to be walking in that game down Ayuk, down those receivers I mentioned. And oh, by the way, Juwan Jennings has been essentially a hold-in with a calf injury throughout training camp. Maybe he just activates himself on game one. But like I said last year about this to the Niner situation, and I was proven ultimately true beyond all measure. You can be that whole guy who operates as a vet saying, I don't need training camp. I'm old enough now. I've been through the punches and all that stuff. I'm good, man. Just get me there game one. I'll get the tape on my fingers. I'll be good. Good to go. No problem. Yeah, really? How'd that work for Trent Williams last year? How'd that work for Brandon Ayuk last year? Trent Williams said openly he was not at his best last year. Openly that the lack of training camp made it harder for him to perform at his best. Part of the reason probably why he's been at all the OTAs and he's been out there practicing like a madman this offseason, as he sensed that he needed that. Ayuk from the same point, doesn't practice throughout that time. Look, would that hit have happened? Whether or not he was practicing or not, maybe not. Would his reactions times maybe been just a half a second faster had he? We don't know. But I do know that was my prediction, is that these two guys with this amount of training camp you've missed, coming back in, trying to play game one essentially, doesn't kind of work that way. You need training camp. Training camp is there for a reason. Players don't like to believe that all the time, where it's like, no, I don't need it. No, you do. You do. So the Niners with Juwan Jennings, maybe he's ready game one there to come back in. I can't see him being just 100% of what you get of a prime Juwan Jennings, even if he is at that point. But the Niners are not walking into this game anything but limping on in. And the Seattle Seahawks definitely have now been able to potentially really catch them vulnerable here into this game one. And hopefully they can take advantage. Hopefully they're ready to do it. I think they will be. But interesting to track this Niner opponent for that week one battle and know that, man, they're not going to be anywhere near full strength.